Ji-woo stared out the train window as she left Seoul behind. In her suitcase, only clothes and an engagement ring that meant nothing now. In her chest, a broken heart betrayed by two people, the man she loved and her best friend. The betrayal came quietly, cruelly. No explanations, no apologies, only one harsh truth. She had been replaced, and now she would disappear forever. When love is betrayed by the ones we trust the most, can we ever love again, or do we simply survive with the taste of revenge? Ji-woo and Min-seok met as teenagers when she was just 16. He was 2 years older, from a wealthy family of businessmen. Ji-woo came from humble roots, raised by her widowed mother in a small Seoul neighborhood. Their love grew fast, strong, and sincere. It wasn't a fling, it was a life promise. Min-seok's family resisted at first. She wasn't their level, they said. But Ji-woo won them over with her gentle, determined ways. Even his cold, calculating mother started seeing her as a future daughter-in-law. They got engaged while still in college, dreaming of a simple life together. Everything was perfect until Ji-woo came home early from a work trip and saw the one thing no woman should see: Min-seok in another woman's arms. Not just any woman. Sora, her best friend since childhood. Time stopped. Her blood froze, and Ji-woo, without a word, turned her back and vanished. For days, Min-seok tried calling, texting, searching their favorite spots, but Ji-woo was gone. She quit her job, sold her rental apartment, and disappeared like a ghost. But no one knew. She hadn't disappeared. She had reborn. For the next 3 years, Ji-woo dedicated herself to one mission: rebuilding her life, but not like before. She changed her face through surgery, changed her name, studied business and marketing, and started as an intern at a company that rivaled Min-seok's family empire. She rose quickly, smart, strategic, quiet, promoted by the CEO, not knowing that Ji-woo was secretly the company's major shareholder. No one would recognize her, not even Min-seok. But Ji-woo didn't just want corporate victory. She wanted something deeper, to make Min-seok feel the same pain, not by touching him, but through someone else. The opportunity came at a company gala when she locked eyes with Junho, Min-seok's younger brother. Junho was different, funny, warm, gentle, the opposite of his brother, and to Ji-woo, the perfect pawn for an emotional checkmate. She approached him with charm and careful calculation. Within days, they were texting. 2 weeks later, dinner dates. A month in, he was in love. But then, something unexpected happened. She started to feel too. On a rainy night, Junho took her to a lookout in Incheon. There, under the city lights and soft rain, he looked her in the eyes. "I don't know who you really are, but when I'm with you," the pain fades. Ji-woo's chest tightened. How could he be so genuine, so kind, and yet be Min-seok's brother? For the first time in 3 years, she felt doubt about her plan, about herself, and about what real love actually means. Pain can turn us into what we swore we'd never be. But what if, amid revenge, life offers us a second chance at love? Would we dare take it? If this story got you hooked, make sure to subscribe now. A lot of people watch all the way to the end but forget to subscribe, and that really helps us keep telling stories like this. Have you ever lived a broken promise? Comment below. Your story might inspire someone else. Junho had no idea who he was falling for. To him, she was just Yuna, an intriguing, beautiful woman. But for Jiwoo, he was the connection between a shattered past and a carefully planned future. Every word was calculated, every smile strategic. But the heart started to interfere. For the first time, Jiwoo felt fear of being trapped by her own trap. How far can we go in a plan for revenge before destroying the part of us that still knows how to love? The bond between Jiwoo, now known as Yuna, and Junho grew stronger by the day. They laughed together, shared secrets, discovered strange little connections. Junho was unlike anyone she'd ever met, vulnerable, sincere, someone who saw beyond appearances. And that terrified Jiwoo. She had spent 3 years training her heart to feel nothing, and now, just a few weeks, had begun to tear that all down. Still, she stayed focused. At work, she pushed Min-suk's company to the edge. A merger she had secretly organized was moving quickly. Soon his family empire would be shaken, and no one suspected that behind it all was the woman they once betrayed. But Jiwoo never expected to actually like the version of herself that existed with Junho. He asked questions that made her reflect. He treated her with real care, something she hadn't felt in years. Worst of all, he believed she was a good person, and that hurt. One day, Junho brought her to the hospital where he volunteered with underprivileged kids. There, Jiwoo saw another side of him. The kind, the human, the man she never imagined could be related to the one who shattered her. "Don't tell my brother about this. He thinks it's a waste of time," he said, laughing. The words stabbed her. Min-suk hadn't changed. Cold, ruthless, focused on money. And now he was holding meetings trying to uncover the identity of the woman behind the rival company threatening his legacy. He didn't know she was already inside his family again. On Junho's birthday night, he invited Yuna to a private dinner. He made a toast for her and said with shining eyes, "I don't know what you did before we met, but I want to be what comes after." Jiwoo froze. She smiled, but inside, something unexpected stirred. Guilt. For the first time, she hesitated. The next day, she didn't answer his messages. She skipped work, canceled meetings. She was running from herself, from everything she'd built. But fate is cruel to those who try to run. The very next day, Min-suk walked into the same cafe where she was hiding. He glanced at her, kept walking, but there was something in his eyes. Suspicion. He didn't recognize her fully, but something about Yuna unsettled him. Jiwoo knew. Her time was running out. If Min-suk discovered her identity, everything could collapse. Her revenge, her company, and maybe Junho's heart. Some wounds don't heal. They just learn to hide. But when your heart starts to beat for someone new, the old pain may begin to fade or evolve into a brand new fear. If this story caught you, don't leave without subscribing. So many people watch the entire video but don't hit that subscribe button, and that really helps us keep going. Have you ever fallen for someone while still healing from someone else? Share your story in the comments. Your twist might inspire someone else. Jiwoo returned home with her heart racing. Running into Min-suk at the cafe felt like more than just coincidence. She knew the illusion she had built was starting to collapse. For 3 years, she had crafted her new identity with perfection, changed her face, her voice, her features, even her walk. But deep down, one thing had never changed, her eyes, and that could betray her. Min-suk was many things, but not stupid. If he caught even a glimpse of the truth, He wouldn't stop until he uncovered everything. In the following weeks, Ji-woo tried to distance herself from Junho. She gave vague excuses, said she was overwhelmed at work, avoided their meetings. But he kept trying, not desperately, but gently. He sent coffee to her building, little messages with lyrics, photos of places they'd been together. Ji-woo felt her world collapsing, not from revenge, but from guilt. With every kind gesture, something inside her cracked a little more. Meanwhile, at the company, war was brewing. Ji-woo's corporation was slowly suffocating Min-seok's family business. Contracts were slipping away, clients jumping ship, shareholders panicking. In an emergency meeting, Min-seok addressed the board with that tone Ji-woo knew too well: arrogant, impatient, cold. He had no idea he was losing the battle to the woman he once betrayed and never even apologized to. At the end of that same week, Ji-woo received a call from an unknown number. When she answered, a calm and steady voice spoke. "I need to talk to you." It was Min-seok. She froze. Did he know? Was he bluffing? What did he want? Trying to stay composed, she replied, "I think you've got the wrong number." "Yuna, or should I say Ji-woo," he said next. Her world fell apart. The one thing she feared most had happened, and now everything was at risk. The next day, Min-seok arranged a meeting at a quiet restaurant in Gangnam. She hesitated, but she couldn't run. When she arrived, he was already seated, eyes fixed, tense but not aggressive. As she sat down, he spoke first, not giving her time to respond. "I didn't come here to judge you. I came to understand." Ji-woo held his gaze. She wouldn't let him see her shaken. Understand what? What happens when someone's betrayed and decides to survive? Min-seok looked down for a moment. "I messed up, but you disappeared. Why didn't you give me a chance to explain?" Ji-woo laughed bitterly. "I found you in my best friend's arms. What explanation could possibly fix that?" He tried to reply, but she stood up. "Your company will fall, and you know who's going to press the final button." She paused, then stared directly at him. "If you want revenge, start by accepting that you already lost." As she left the restaurant, Ji-woo cried for the first time in years. Not for him, but for herself. The girl who once dreamed of a sweet future was dead. In her place was a woman who no longer knew if she was capable of love. And that's when Junho appeared, unexpectedly, outside her building that same night. He was holding a bag of food, wearing a worried expression. "You disappeared again. I got worried," he said, offering a nervous smile. Ji-woo tried to hide her red eyes, but he noticed. "Did someone hurt you? Was it my brother?" he asked, his voice tight with anger. She didn't know what to say. She just shook her head, like someone carrying two truths that canceled each other out. He stepped forward and hugged her, firmly, without asking. In that embrace, something inside her completely collapsed. Ji-woo knew she couldn't keep lying. The plan had spun out of control. Revenge was no longer the goal. And for the first time, she wished she had just been an ordinary woman. A woman able to love, without the past, without pain, without masks. But time doesn't go backward, and every choice comes at a price. In the days that followed, Ji-woo avoided everything and everyone. She ignored calls, canceled meetings, and even avoided her own reflection in the mirror. It was as if she were trapped between two versions of herself, the woman who swore revenge and the one who, without realizing it, had fallen for someone real. This inner battle was consuming her. Junho, confused by her distance, kept reaching out gently. He even went to her office to see her, but she asked not to be disturbed. He backed off, respectfully, but deep down he knew something was very wrong, and he wouldn't rest until he found out the truth. Meanwhile, Min-seok was becoming increasingly obsessed with uncovering how Ji-woo had returned and infiltrated the empire he had inherited. He searched old records, questioned former employees, combed through data. Slowly, he began to connect the dots. Ji-woo wasn't just a betrayed ex-fiancé. She was a brilliant strategist, silent, powerful, and absolutely determined. And he was beginning to admire the woman he once believed he could control with a smile. The tension was growing. The merger between companies was about to be made public. When that happened, Min-seok wouldn't just lose his position as CEO, he would lose the investors' trust and possibly his family's support. He had to act fast. The only way to stop it was to expose Ji-woo's real identity. But he hesitated. There was something in her new gaze, strong yet wounded, that stirred guilt in him. For the first time, Min-seok wasn't sure if he wanted to win or just be forgiven. Meanwhile, Ji-woo had made a final decision. She could no longer keep Junho in the dark. He didn't deserve to be collateral damage in a plan that no longer made sense. That night, she asked to meet him. They sat in an empty park, the same park where years ago she and Min-seok had promised each other forever. They sat in silence for a long time, until Ji-woo took a deep breath and said, "What I'm going to tell you will change everything, and you might hate me after this." Junho frowned, confused. "Just promise me one thing, that you'll hear me out." She told him everything. The betrayal, her disappearance, the new identity, the company, and finally, the plan. Junho didn't interrupt once, but his eyes slowly filled with pain as each word landed. When she finished, the silence between them weighed more than 1,000 screams. He stood up slowly, looking at her like he no longer recognized her. "So everything between us was a lie." Ji-woo tried not to cry. "At first, yes, but then I don't know what's real anymore. I just know I never meant to hurt you." "But you did," he replied coldly. "And now what? You want me to forgive you? Pretend none of this happened?" "No," she said honestly. "I just wanted you to hear it from me before you heard it from someone else." Junho walked away without looking back. Ji-woo sat alone, feeling like she had lost everything all over again. But for the first time, she felt she had done the right thing. For the first time, she chose truth over control. The next day, Min-seok called a press conference. Everyone thought he was going to expose the woman behind his downfall. But surprisingly, he simply announced his resignation. Sometimes, losing is the only way to learn to value what we've left behind. He ended the conference with a look both firm and vulnerable. That night, Ji-woo received a message from an unknown number. It was Junho. "I still don't know how to feel, but thank you for not lying. I just need time." She read the message with teary eyes. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't a reconciliation. But it was a chance. And sometimes, all love needs is a second chance. 6 months passed. The merger was finalized, and Min-seok's old corporation was now just a subsidiary. Ji-woo didn't attend the official ceremony. She watched it alone on TV, coffee in hand, with a tight chest. Her name wasn't on the press releases or in the photographs, but every major shareholder knew. Behind everything was the mysterious ghost CEO no one had ever seen. Junho had disappeared from her life since that last message. He never replied, never showed up again. Ji-woo respected it. She knew that true love could only begin where truth exists, and she had taken too long to offer it. Still, every night his name returned to her thoughts like a silent echo of what could have been. One day, after a meeting, Jiwoo received a call from an international number. She hesitated and answered. It was her former boss from London, a powerful, cold, ambitious woman. "Are you ready for your next mission?" she asked bluntly. Jiwoo only replied with a tired smile. She was done with plans, done with empty victories. For the first time, she just wanted to be herself. No mass, no strategy, no war. The next morning, she went to the same park where she had last seen Junho. She sat on the same bench, closed her eyes. She wasn't expecting anything, just wanted to remember what it felt like to breathe without armor. When she opened her eyes, he was there, standing, silent, looking at her like he couldn't believe it. Jiwoo didn't move, thought it was her imagination. He slowly walked up to her and said, "I waited for this day." She stood up, heart pounding. Why? Because I needed time to understand. And because if there's one thing I learned from you, it's that real love doesn't come ready. It's built. And sometimes it's born in the middle of chaos. Jiwoo couldn't hold back her tears. They didn't hug, didn't kiss. They just stood there, looking at each other like two survivors of the same storm. And for the first time, without a word, they knew something was still possible. Not the same as before, not something perfect, but something real. Weeks later, Min Seok also left the country, quietly entered an emotional rehab program in Switzerland. No press, no scandal. He had learned the hard way that what you plant eventually returns. And although no one knew, he had left the letter anonymously at Jiwoo's mother's apartment with the simple message, "I'm sorry. Your smile haunted me for years." The story seemed to have reached its end, but fate still had one more move. Ready to leave everything behind, Jiwoo decided to sell her stake in the company and start over outside Korea. During the asset transfer, the lawyers discovered something. One of the smaller companies involved in the merger was actually owned by Junho. He had been in the game the entire time, silently, without her knowing. He investigated the plan, understood every step, and still chose not to destroy her, chose not to expose her, chose not to take revenge. Jiwoo was stunned. He had been there all along. The night before her flight, she went to his apartment, rang the bell, he opened the door. Before he could say anything, she asked, "You knew everything. Why didn't you stop me?" Junho took a breath. "Because I didn't want to win. I wanted to understand. And deep down, I wanted you to stop on your own." Jiwoo held back her tears. "And now?" He smiled. "Now I think it's time we build something that never had a chance to be born before. A future without ghosts." They didn't know if they'd be happy forever, but they knew they were no longer prisoners of the past, and that was enough. Sometimes revenge feels like the only form of justice, but true power lies in those who dare to break the cycle and rebuild their story with truth. Jiwoo thought she needed to win to be free, but she learned that real freedom is choosing to let go of the past and giving love a second chance. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe now. Many people watch until the end, but forget to click subscribe, and that makes all the difference so we can keep telling stories like this. And what about you? Do you believe love can be born even after deep betrayal? Tell us in the comments. Your answer might inspire our next story.